What is going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. Not that long ago, at the start of May, I made a video talking about how Disney ruined Star Wars with its attempt at continuing the Star Wars franchise, creating a whole new trilogy. If you have not seen the video yet, please go check it out. In the Disney Star Wars trilogy, we have 2 mediocre films and 1 terrible movie. But if you think all 3 movies are complete garbage, I can't really argue with you because, yeah, the trilogy is incredibly disappointing. With that said, I want to key in on something else that's always bothered me about the new trilogy. Looking back at the original and prequel trilogies, one thing that still stands out to me is where those movies take place. When Star Wars was created, the intention of the universe was to have a massive fantasy world for all sci-fi movie buffs, with some really cool technology, weapons, and landscapes. Things that don't exist and probably never will exist on planet Earth. And the planets are unlike anything we'll ever get the chance to see. But if I were offered a round-trip ticket to my favorite Star Wars planets, at least the safe ones, of course I'd take the opportunity, without hesitation. You may ask, Sven, if you could pick 5 of your favorite planets from the Star Wars movie franchise to visit, which ones would you choose? Well, that's tough, but if I had to pick, and in no particular order, the planets I would choose are Coruscant, Kamino, Bespin, Hoth, and well, I'm going to explain myself in a little bit about this choice, but I really like Scarif too. Come on, it's the only Star Wars vacation spot. The water is probably filled with Karkarodon, but the beaches are beautiful. And guess what? None of the planets I named are planets from Disney's new Star Wars trilogy. I doubt even one planet from the sequel trilogy would crack my top 20 favorite Star Wars planets. I wonder why. The answer is pretty obvious. Like the movies, the new planets introduced to us in the Star Wars sequel trilogy are really bland. What's so special about planets like Jakku or Ahch-to? Why would anyone ever want to visit these planets over the ones I already named? They wouldn't, or at least most people wouldn't. But before we dive a little bit deeper, let's compare the planets of the original and prequel trilogies to the planets of the sequel trilogy. And this does not include planets from the films Rogue One or Solo. Not only are those movies completely separate from everything, but they also have guys like Gareth Edwards and Ron Howard who went above and beyond in terms of making their movies feel otherworldly. Heck, Gareth Edwards directed 2014's Godzilla, one of my favorite movies, so he gets a pass. Hence another reason why I picked Scarif. Now then, let's begin with the planets in A New Hope. Tatooine is the first Star Wars planet we ever got, and you'd be lying to yourself if you said it's not iconic. There's the city, Mos Eisley, Tusken Raiders, and 2 suns. Sure, it's a desert, but who cares? They did a great job transforming this ordinary desert into a fantasy hotspot. We also get the moon Yavin 4 in A New Hope. It reminds me of an ancient Mayan colony. I like it. Of course, these 2 planets aren't by any means mind-blowing, but it's the first movie of a franchise. Cut them some slack because they did a great job. In The Empire Strikes Back, Hoth is the starting point. A fan favorite for many, Hoth combines Antarctica with fantasy elements, and the end result is breathtaking. Following Hoth is Dagobah, a swamp-like planet. I would never in a million years want to visit here because I like being alive, and going to Dagobah feels like a death sentence, but it's still a planet I'd want to explore, mostly because we only get to see a really small portion of it in Empire. Finally, Bespin, a planet known for its mammoth clouds. The scenery is immaculate, and Cloud City is the most notable city on Bespin. Imagine living in a city that floats over clouds. That sounds like heaven on earth. To top off the original trilogy, the only new planet introduced in Return of the Jedi is the moon Endor. It's fine. There's tree houses and Ewoks. I don't mind it. I do prefer just about every planet in the original trilogy over Endor, but that doesn't mean I don't like Endor. I think it was a fitting choice as the planet where everything comes to an end in the original trilogy. Okay, on to the prequels. Beginning with Naboo, the first new Star Wars planet fans got in 16 years. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of variety here. Grasslands, forests, lakes, cities, kind of close to what we have on Earth, except the architecture is reminiscent of the Italian Renaissance, and there's an underwater city. Pretty sure there's no underwater cities that exist on Earth. Then we go back to Tatooine. This was very nostalgic for many, I'm sure. And lastly, we get one of my absolute favorite Star Wars planets, Coruscant. Wow, this place is awesome. The entire planet is a city. I'm sure it's a really fun place to live. It looks incredible, very futuristic. Coruscant as a whole offers so much variety that I would live there in a heartbeat. One of the coolest fantasy destinations in film history, at least in my opinion. In Attack of the Clones, there's a little more of the same, but roughly halfway through the movie, Kamino makes its debut. Gosh, do I love this planet. A little dreary? Yeah. But the look of Kamino is distinct. The entire planet is underwater, it's always storming, all the Kaminoans have is an above water city. Oceans and storms really fascinate me, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that I love Kamino Kamino's look. Then there's Geonosis, a planet that looks like Mars and Saturn combined from a distance, and on the surface, it's a harsh rocky world with mountains shaped like sandcastles. Revenge of the Sith is the last movie to cover. It takes a little while for us to see any new planets, but eventually we get one in the form of Kashyyyk. The planet is a cross between Endor and Dagobah. That's how I describe it. And I think it looks pretty cool. Plus, it's nice we finally get to see the Wookiees' home planet. Udapal is another planet introduced in Revenge of the Sith, a planet that's fairly unique with cities inside craters. And the final major planet in Revenge of the Sith is Mustafar, a volcano lava planet. I'm so happy they decided to have Obi-Wan and Anakin duel here, because what's more epic than having a lightsaber battle over molten lava? Mustafar feels too dangerous to visit, but that's what makes it such a good planet. Alright, and now let's get to the planets in Disney's sequel trilogy. First is Jakku. It's just a really boring version of Tatooine. There's like one small village in sight, and it's got about as much going on as Fire Festival did. Next is Maz Kanata's castle planet. I have no idea what the name of this planet is, and frankly, I don't care. It's pretty generic looking. Like, they just filmed somewhere in England and were like, oh yeah, this is totally a Star Wars planet. Not at all something you've seen before on Earth. Whatever. Then, apparently this is a different planet than the last one, but you'd never know that because it looks exactly the same. I bet they filmed a few miles down the road and thought we would not notice. And if you saw the preview for The Force Awakens, you probably thought, wow, there's going to be a snow planet? But nope, it's just Starkiller Base, the Death Star ripoff. Also, since when do machines suddenly grow mountains, trees, and snow? It's so stupid. On to The Last Jedi. Well, there's Ahch-to. We saw Ahch-to at the end of The Force Awakens, but get fully exposed to it in The Last Jedi. Visually speaking, it's striking. I mean, of course it is. It's an Ireland landmark. But what about Ahch-to feels like Star Wars? Nothing really. It just looks like another destination from Earth. There's no otherworldly elements, nothing that spells danger. Overall, it's just really quiet and boring like the rest of the planets we've gotten so far. When talking about The Last Jedi, you can't forget about Canto Bight though. Just kidding. It's nice we finally get a planet with a city and a little more CGI to make Canto Bight feel something out of Star Wars in this sequel trilogy, but they could not have made this planet any more bland than the rest of them. Then there's Krayt. It's kind of cool with the crystal foxes and how the planet is made of salt, but they could not have made it any more clear that Krayt is just a ripoff of Hoth. Come on, man. As for the Rise of Skywalker, the planets are generic planet number 1, Tatooine ripoff number 2, like, is this not just Jakku all over again? The planet Kijimi, a little too dark to see if there's anything actually cool about it. Kef Bir, it's part of the Endor system, but why could they not just go to Endor instead? Once again, we just get another boring planet. And Exegol, what even is this place? Honestly, who cares? This was one of their worst ideas in the entire trilogy. So yeah, there's not much to like about with the sequel trilogy planets. Of course, I'm happy they did not rely heavily on CGI, but sometimes you kind of have to when making a sci-fi film with otherworldly planets. Like, what the heck? All of a sudden, after the original trilogy, every planet just looks like something from Earth? How boring is that? And even when they attempted to create an inventive planet, it just turned out to be a blatant ripoff. That's how I see it, but I want to hear what you guys think. Are you a fan of the planets in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, or do you think they suck? Let me know down below in the comments. As always, click that subscribe button if you're new to my channel, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you guys again soon, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.